Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Cantina Social Hour. Hope everybody is doing well. Thank you guys for being here. I see a lot of our friends gathering in the chat. Hello, hello. What's going on? Cantina denizens, patrons, Cantinians. Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's my favorite time of the week. It is Friday night, which means that it's time to talk some toys, time to talk some entertainment, time to talk whatever you guys want to talk about. So we're going to have a good time. I want to see who is hanging out with us so far in the chat before we bring on our esteemed guest this evening. Dodgson, how you doing? Good. Good to see. I know where you're going there. I know what you mean. I'll mention that in just a second. Paul, how's it going? Good to see you, Paul. Thanks for being with us. Rhino Hobbies, hello, hello. Thank you for being here with us. I see what you guys are talking about. I'm going to address it. We got Nerdzoic in the house. How's it going, Matt? Very nice. Lance Peter Luke, how are you doing? July through November, how are you? Tim, good to see you, Tim. Thanks for hanging out with us once again. Jano Cosmic, how are you doing? Thanks for being with us tonight. Britt, how's it going, Britt? Great to see you. We've got Mary. How's it going, my friend? Thanks for joining us tonight. Yep, looks like everybody is filtering in. Once again, the whole crew. Sweet. All right. So we have a range of topics we're going to talk about. I guess I want to start out by just really quick, what some of you guys were talking about. So earlier this week, on Wednesday, in fact, I ported over this stream for today. What I didn't catch though, and anytime I set up these streams, it's not through YouTube, it's through a third-party software. And everything is pre-saved. The Friday night, the 7 p.m., like that's all like pre-saved because that's consistent pretty much every week. For whatever reason, when that ported over to create this stream, it didn't make the date Friday today. It made it Wednesday. So I guess this went or was supposed to go live on Wednesday without my knowledge. It was a complete mistake. And I know a lot of you guys were in here and I got messages on Instagram that I saw like an hour late. I'm like, what are they talking about? There's no show tonight. When do we ever do such an hour on Wednesdays? So I apologize for that. It was an error. And I know a lot of you were in here, but looks like most of you are filtering in tonight. So sorry about that, but glad that you are joining us on the proper night tonight. All right. So this evening, like I said, we have an esteemed guest. This is his second time on Cantina Social Hour. We're going to bring him in right now to join us for tonight's conversation. We got Matt from Nerdzoic. Matt, how's it going?
What is up, everybody? Yeah, second timer.
Yeah, the second time is always better. But yeah, like I was looking at it last night, and I guess it was April 2022 was when you were last on. So it's been almost 2 years.
Wow, would not have guessed that.
Yeah, I thought it was like last year, but I was wrong.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife. She's like, "Weren't you on that last year?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think it was like last spring or something."
Feels like it.
Yeah.
Definitely it feels like it. Yeah, so no, thanks for coming on, Matt. We had a great chat last time, and it's great to have you back in the Cantina once again.
It's great to be back. Last time we were lamenting the upcoming plastic-free packaging, and now we have law. Now that's a thing of the past. So good times.
Yeah, it puts into perspective how frequently things change. I mean, I really thought, like, if you would have asked me back then, like, I really would have thought, hey, if Matt's coming back on in 2024, we're going to be talking about, how we hate, this new vintage collection, completely plastic-free packaging. But hey, it didn't happen. It didn't quite happen in Black Series. It did happen, but then they regressed on that. So yeah, thankfully there's no plastic-free packaging because, when it hits their bottom line, doesn't matter how high and, they want to go in terms of being green. And when it hits that bottom line, they're going to switch back. And that's what they did.
Well, it's the green that made it happen, just not the environment green, the money green.
Exactly. So I see a few other friends filtering in. Kirby, how you doing? Good to see you. We've got 17.2 Nate. How are you doing? I always got to say your name slow because I don't want to mess it up. So thanks to everybody who's coming in here. Yeah, so Matt, I was going to say what's new, but just in case there's anybody in here that missed that live stream or they're newer to Social Hour, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you do in the whole toy collecting community?
Yeah, so I started out on YouTube like I'd say three-quarters of us at this point during COVID when we had nothing else to do. Uh, Lost my job, did some YouTube, talked about toys. I've been collecting toys since the late 90s, since the Power of the Force 2 days for Star Wars, and then Power of the Jedi. Uh, 2020, lost my job, started doing YouTube, really enjoyed it, and said, man, it'd be so cool if I could make my whole job toys. And my wife decided to say, hey, why don't we like start selling toys or something? And I decided, okay, why not? Let's try it. And now we have a toy store and we sell pretty much everything under the sun, 100% online. And now it's our full-time jobs. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you can make what you love your job and like just make that all you focus on, that's incredible. So, hats off.
Thank you. Very lucky. A lot of good luck. Things kind of lined up in the right places, and it's been good. It's been very much a blessing for us.
Absolutely. And of course, I know you've talked about it before, like, there's been ups and downs with it in terms of dealing with some of these companies and in terms of, just various logistical factors that come into play. But I think from what it sounds like, all in all, it's been worth it.
It has. There's been some bad that is like freak luck of nature bad, flooding type bad. There's been some super highs last year. We crossed the $1 million mark in sales, and pretty sure that behind Big Bad Entertainment Earth and this specific genre that we do, I think we're the third person there. So it's pretty crazy. Being able to look back at some of the other companies that have come and gone, and knowing how they were doing just based off of public documents, I'm blown away by how well it's going. It's going really well. I think the key to it is just hard work and being willing to keep your overhead super low. Dealing with the companies can definitely be hard at times. They're all different. It's just I've learned quickly that just dealing with companies is a full-time job, and that's what I do all day while my wife runs the logistical end. I am the sourcing guy. So that's what we do all day. Minus being stuck into our little area and not seeing other human beings. Other than that, it's fantastic.
Nice. Right on. Well, that sounds awesome. And it's great that you have your wife as your partner in all this, because that's I'm sure that's a huge part of this as well.
It is.
Yeah, so I just want to show real quick, your YouTube, it is linked in the description, but I mean, your channel is awesome. I mean, you've like, I don't want to say taken off, but I mean, I think last time we were doing this, like the channel has grown a lot in the last couple of years. So congrats on all the success there. And the content is just amazing. I mean, all the videos that you create, they give voice to, various topics that not a lot of people are necessarily focusing on. For example, just some of these here, like the undisputed top 10 Marvel Legends, and you let the community in and have a voice in that. So it's pretty awesome. Our action figures are good investment. I mean, just these range of topics are just really informative. And like I said, that's the kind of content that I appreciate, and that I try to create is, things that aren't necessarily being focused on by, 100 other, toy collectors on YouTube. So just hats off on all the success, and, all the videos are awesome. I love all your content it's great stuff.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's hard sometimes. Like I just got done a probably 6 to 8 week, maybe longer YouTube hiatus, just because I needed a creative recharge, because I was just like, man, I am stuck on ideas. I need to rejuvenate here a little. It's tough sometimes.
It is. You really need to take those breaks. Like YouTube is, some people I think feel like when they watch a video that it comes together easily, but most of the time that's not the case. They're very time consuming, and they require a lot of energy. And if you're already working a full-time job, having that energy is very hard to find sometimes.
And it's weird. I think people don't realize. I mean, they probably think, yeah, the editing takes a while, but the rest it's probably easy. You just turn the camera on and go. And like at this point, I'm fortunate enough to have like everything set up to the point where it is 2 buttons and go, but it's 4 to 5 hours of research before that. Then
Yeah.
there is the editing process, and I have a group or a team of a couple people who work with me just so that I can focus more on doing the toy store stuff. And without them, I mean, I think I was averaging 8 to 10 hours per video when it was all me. It's a lot.
It is a lot. It's pretty nuts. Like, I mean, it just takes a lot of time. I mean, there's so many elements that go into creating stuff. I mean, if like even like for like small videos, like an Instagram reel or a TikTok video, like those are time consuming. But I mean, a YouTube video is a proper video. That's like going to be like a 15-minute like thing, right? So it's like so much more intensive with the research, like you were saying, and the editing and adjusting the sound and the visuals and all
I
that.
hate doing that. So I can't actually do that and then film because it puts me in such a bad mood. So if I don't have all that stuff keyed in, by the time I'm done keying everything in, I sit there, I look at the camera, I'm just like, guess we're recording now. And I'm just miserable at that point. So I actually spent the last couple of weeks, like, I ran wires through my ceiling and down. I'm rewiring things. So I basically set it up so I don't even have to move the SD card out of the camera now. It
Mm,
just literally goes HDMI to the computer. Great. Till I mess it up,
nice.
it's fantastic.
Nice. Yeah, the display is looking really great back there. See all your
Thanks.
figures and
Like that's actually next is I have to move like a brand new camera. I got a third shelf. I have to kind of do some adjustments. It's getting there slowly to where I want my office to be. By the time I have it the way I like it, it's going to be time to move it. Like that's basically how this goes. It's going to be like, hey, we need to get a warehouse or something. So it's going to be great.
nice. All right, so we're going to get into our topics. So just to kind of give everybody a preview of what we're going to discuss. And Matt, I actually had to throw in here that I kind of forgot about, but it's not going to take us a lot of time, but I'll put it towards the end. We're going to talk about Super 7 and how they're not making Disney figures anymore. We're going to talk about new Star Wars releases. There's actually not really anything from Hasbro. I know we covered it last week, and we'll touch on it a little bit again tonight, but there was some stuff from Disney, like I guess directly, and then some stuff from Hot Toys. It's pretty exciting. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about new acquisitions, and I want to talk a little bit about that new Ghostbusters trailer because I thought it was pretty exciting. And then we will have some Q&A at the end. So yeah, we got a good time in store over the next little bit here. So first things first, I posted about this earlier today on my Instagram, and this isn't like a way that you want to start the show. But nonetheless, it's something that we can't, we have to address. Unfortunately today, we got the very, very sad news that Carl Weathers has passed on. So I was at work, and somebody sent me a message, and then I was like, sometimes you get these messages and it turns out to not be true. So I looked it up, and I was like, no, sure enough, it sounds like it is. And as I talked a little bit on Instagram, like Carl Weathers, he attended my alma mater, San Diego State University, and he played football there. And then he went on to be, a pro football player with the Oakland Raiders, and then became, this actor that, we all grew up watching his films. And then, of course, in The Mandalorian, like, he was a huge part of that, I feel like. And, so really devastating news. Really, really sad. And yeah, it's not anything we want to talk about, but we have to mention it.
Yeah. So before Star Wars for me, there was Rocky. I grew up about 25 minutes from the steps up the art museum. I was actually just there today, right down the street from there on South Street, and guy, like, he just absolutely always loved him. He seemed like such a great guy. I've read a lot of different stories about him, that he was just incredibly down to earth as a human being. He was naturally funny. Like, for me, I loved him in the Happy Gilmore movies, because he did the one where he was in Happy Gilmore, and then he was in Heaven in Little Nicky. He was Mambo instructor. Uh, just super sad. Hopefully it was one of those things where he didn't suffer, went quick. I didn't even know he had anything going on. I hope it was just, quick and sudden for him. Wish his family the best.
Yeah, I mean, there was no indication that there was anything going on. I mean, he seemed like he was still very active with the directing in The Mandalorian and public appearances. Like, he was actually just here last year. He came back to my school, to San Diego State, and he gave like this hour and a half presentation, like talking about his life and, like the ingredients for succeeding in whatever it is you want to do. He talked about his filmmaking and, his days as a football player, and just kind of a little bit of everything. And he had a Q&A, and he was very patient with everybody. And, it was just really cool. And it's on YouTube. If anyone wants to check it out, like the whole thing's there. But, yeah, no, it was, just very inspiring of a person, like even when you'd see him like in Celebration, like talking and stuff, like he just seems like very energetic, very positive, and, just seemed like a really great guy. So, I mean, it's really unfortunate. Like I was saying, I feel like what he contributed to The Mandalorian, like really helped to ground it in sort of, like more of a realism that I think, had that show not had that, I really feel like it would have fallen a lot shorter than the love that everybody has for it. I think he was a critical ingredient in The Mandalorian. So, yeah, no, just like positive energy and vibes to his loved ones. And, it's, may the force be with us all, really.
Yeah. Yeah, he certainly was. It's kind of interesting. When I saw way back, I'm reading like who's in The Mandalorian, and then I get to and Carl Weathers, and I'm just like, seems like an odd fit, but he was perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, but I guess it's always important to remember, that, and he even mentioned that. It's funny, he mentioned this in that speech. I remember like that, the one certain thing in life is that, none of us are here forever. So it's just really a reminder, of course, to make each day count, focus on our humanity, and, spreading positivity, and just putting, that good energy out into the universe. So, he left behind an awesome messages, and, a legacy of work, of course. So, yeah. Alrighty. Well, we're going to go ahead and switch gears here. So, Matt, this news came out last month, and I haven't touched on it here in Social Hour, but I guess Super 7, they've been making Disney figures for Reaction, for the Ultimates, and even like the really large ones for the last, I guess it's been like 3 years now they've been doing it. And now they're saying that they're not going to be doing Disney. And I guess that includes The Simpsons. I just found that out today. I didn't realize that. But yeah, how did this news strike you when you heard it? Did you find it surprising that they're not going to be doing anything with Disney anymore?
Yes and no. So I was surprised in the fact that Disney is not shy about getting that IP out there. Like, it takes a lot for them to pull it. I don't know if it's a situation where they pulled it, or if it's a situation where the contract ran out and they decided not to renew. It's odd though, because Disney wants their money, right? So something had to happen there. I have some suspicions that it might be the fact that Super 7 had devalued their products so much by everything goes down to 75% off. I know that I've heard in the past that Disney is very careful and very strict about like how much their IP gets discounted. So I know that, like, as much as we love seeing it, and we see it a lot, it's one of the things that Disney kind of frowns upon. They don't want to see Mickey Mouse getting 75% off tags on them because you can't sell it. And Super 7 as a company, I've never really understood their business model. So it's definitely odd. I'm curious to see if more stuff comes out later on. I know they're very open and all over the internet, Brian Flynn and all. I just find it very odd. It seems odd. I'm curious to know. I would love to know if it was just not renewed, what happened. But it sure doesn't seem like it was their choice, because The Simpsons, that was probably the best thing they put out, or one of the best, and they didn't even get started barely. They got a couple random people made, and then it was done.
Yeah, that's really a shame. I wonder if any part of it is like, because you always hear with Star Wars, like the licensing is so expensive. Like, I wonder if that was any like factor. Like maybe they wanted a higher cut, or
I doubt it, to be honest. So the licensing is expensive, but it's typically not more, from what I understand, than 10 to 15% variance between high-end license to low-end license. And frankly, they had their stuff marked up so much that they could absorb that. But they didn't sell anything for full price. To this day, I have never, ever sold a Super 7 action figure for retail price. That's why I rarely carry them. I'll put them up for pre-order, but nobody buys them. So I'm like, not ordering any of those.
Yeah, I saw on your site you do have a section for them, but there wasn't anything there.
Yeah, so basically it's like, okay, I'll put it up for pre-order. Pre-order period ends. It's time to get my final number in, and I'm like, yep, not buying them, because they won't commit to lowering their print runs. So when I was at Wayfair this year, I talked to every company under the sun. And one of the things I wanted to talk to a couple of companies about was, do you plan on continuing to flood the market to the way you are? McFarland was one who said, no, we made too much product, both in amount of releases and how many of each product we made, and it flooded the market. And it devalued our product, it devalued the brand. Whereas, I'm adding that last context. They didn't say that part. But Super 7, what are you talking about? I felt like I was talking to a wall. It was, what? No, our stuff sells great. I'm like, well, yeah, clearance. And they didn't seem to really, it made me think that the business strategy is to go to clearance. I just don't get it. I really don't get it at all. But yeah, I mean, other places are making figures of licensed IP for, they're making it work. So I don't know.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I mean, when they did those first couple waves, and I honestly, do I even remember who was in those first couple of Disney Ultimates waves? Alice in Wonderland, maybe, or
Robin Hood. That's what I remember.
Robin Hood. It was a Sorcerer Mickey. I was excited because I love like Disney, like the animated films and the Disney theme parks. I love those, and when they were making those figures, like nobody else was doing that. Like nobody else was giving us like articulated Disney, like Robin Hood or any of those characters. So I thought, hey, this is really cool. I did pre-order those first couple waves, and I did pay full price for them. And then they did, like with the reaction, they did some of the Haunted Mansion. I'm like, this is awesome, because these are things that I love that nobody else is doing figures of. So it is kind of a bummer that they're not going to do them anymore. But yeah, I mean, I agree that like the business model was, didn't make a whole lot of sense. And you do see a lot of things go to clearance, even like on Amazon. Like you just, hey, I'll wait it out, and I'll get this TMNT, that latest whatever wave it is, for gosh, almost half off. So
I think that there's so many more choices on the market now. When they were, I would say that their heyday was probably the Masters of the Universe stuff. I guess we're 7 or 8 years ago now. They were the only ones making Masters of the Universe product in that scale. So makes sense. Now, just look at Turtles. That license is everywhere. Loyal Subjects, NECA, Playmates, Super 7, and then there's all the crossovers. And, you look at what NECA does. NECA puts out a very similar figure for $20 less a figure. It makes people say, that is odd. You can get one Super 7 Ultimate, or you can get 2 of the Turtles in a 2-pack.
Right. Yeah. No, TMNT has gotten so like the market has become so saturated with that stuff. And I love Ninja Turtles. Like, I mean, at least the original iteration. I love those, but I've like massively cut back on that. I'm buying now is like the Playmates reissues because I mean those are the ones that I had as a kid and that really like still speak to me. I was kind of dabbling with the Super 7 early on, some of the NECA early on, but then that stuff was just if it wasn't breaking, it was like impossible to find. And it was just kind of like, well, ultimately, no pun intended, I did go back to just like the classic Playmate stuff. So
I was collecting, and I still get into a lot of the cartoon stuff. My general rule is once we get to background characters that I have no memory of, I can't justify spending money on it. Like we got the little old lady who was like in one scene of the cartoon. I'm like, yep, can't do that.
Yeah, some of them I didn't know, like, and I can't even tell you the names, but there was like the cat with like the black and white like outfit, like
I
I
have
learned
no
later
memory.
they were in the Playmates line. They just came like so many years later after I had stopped buying it, as a kid. So it was like, well, that isn't I can't connect to that because I don't know who that is. So I'm not gonna buy that and that. But yeah, I mean it was cool for a bit, but definitely wasn't a perfect product either, the loose joints and stuff. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
that's definitely a thing. The joints. I'll tell you, I think I've got one more thing left to buy from Turtles in that scale, and that is whenever they come out with like the full size Android body Krang.
Mm.
I'm gonna need that. That's the first episode of Turtles I ever saw. I had to go out and be like, Mom, I need a turtle blimp. So I saw it in that episode, and I got the turtle van about 2 months ago. I love it, the NECA one. And
Well,
after that, I can say, all right, I have everything I ever need for Turtles. Time to move to something new.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's good though that you can call it like some people, and I have a tough time with this myself. Like, it's hard to know when to call it because you're just in the habit and routine of being a completist and having to have everything. But no, good for you.
That's hard though. I used to be, I tell the story sometimes where my completionism got really bad in the early 2000s, and the economy of toys made it possible to, you could financially swing it if you're, single and don't have a social life, which was me. So when episode 2 came out, I was buying literally everything that had the blue two-hand logo. Same with Power of the Jedi. And I remember specifically it was like a birthday party set of like party favors. And I'm like, I gotta have it to complete the collection. When I was just like, is this a tablecloth? What am I doing? What is happening? And that's where I was like, completionism is dead. It has to stop.
Yeah, that's funny though. And it's funny too when you think about like the Super 7 loose joints, NECA tight joints. Like, why isn't there some middle ground where everything just works?
It is very interesting. Like I've learned that the engineering of action figures is so much more complicated than we can imagine. And there's so many internal debates among toy designers about how things should be done. I was talking with some people about Four Horsemen the other day. I think one of them even posted about it, about how they are very strict. They use single jointed elbows in all of their figures, with the point being they don't like the aesthetic of double jointed elbows. It looks too much like a figure. And I'm like, I've never really thought about it like that. And they were talking about how they are able to engineer the joints to get the full range of motion. And it is very interesting how they do it, how everybody does it. And everyone does it a little bit differently. I've
Hmm.
noticed that the joint consistency seems to just be all over the place in everything. There's sometimes I'll get a figure out and it's like floppy, floppy, floppy. It moves everywhere. Other times it's like, is this a statue? You don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. One of them that I did want to get was I know that like for the Disney they were doing like the really big like they had like the Brave Little Tailor Mickey and like some of the really big ones. I think they did
Mhm.
like one for like was it from like Lightyear? They did the cat. Like some of those are kind of cool, but
I'm
I don't know.
curious to see if they give that to NECA because NECA does a lot in that 1/4 scale.
Mm.
And they've even done nothing Disney proper. They've done a lot of WB stuff, but I didn't even know those existed until Toy Fair when I saw them. I'm like, is that new? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's new to me.
Yep. All right, so we're going to switch gears here. And I want to talk about, move away from Disney, move on to a little bit of Star Wars. So it's interesting because, you know, this is the week that there aren't really any Hasbro things that were in the news so much, but, you know, there's this new 4-pack that is now available in Shop Disney. And, you know, I know in the community there's some people that love these Disney created 3 1/4 inch figures, and some people that loathe them and say they're not canon and they don't count because they're not made by Hasbro. But I mean, you know, Hasbro isn't giving you a 3 1/4 inch Huyang quite yet. The chopper they gave us recently it's debatable whether or not it's good. And then the other 2 droids, I mean, Hasbro's never going to make those. So, I mean, it's kind of cool that, you know, they'll fit on your shelf. They may not be like, they may not live up to the engineering that Hasbro can implement into their figures, but they'll serve their purpose on your shelf just fine. I've bought most of these sets over the years. And it's great to see more droids. I mean, you know, I love droids, and I think, you know, Hasbro kind of doesn't really do too much with them anymore. So it's nice to see that at least somebody is doing something like this.
Yeah, they have a cool look, and I've always liked. It's a little bit different now because of the internet, and they're not parked exclusive. But whenever I made it to Disney, one of my favorite things to do was be like, all right, what can I find that is exclusive? And my last trip to Disney, now it's like 20 years, was high school. But I remember it was a school trip. I was smuggling back 12-inch figures in my backpacks. I didn't want anyone else to know that I had them. Like, well, this is totally not going to be cool. So I got the 12-inch Darth Maul, Darth Vader, and then it was the old ride. They had a whole set of toys for them, and I loved them. I like that they did the packaging differently. I like that it didn't look like the other figures. Doesn't mean I wouldn't love to see Hasbro tackle some of this stuff, but still. I mean, Huyang is right around the corner for a vintage collection. I feel like he's May, so we're not far away.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, you know, I feel like these are generally, you know, if you are more of a Hasbro purist, these are pretty skippable. There's not really in here anything that's you're going to miss out on. I mean, there's a few things sometimes, but not really in this set. You know, you'll be able to get Huyang, and like you were saying, and Chopper's out right now. So, yeah, it's a cool little set. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I saw a comment here from JJ about, you know, waiting these out because these do go on sale. And yeah, that's true. Shop Disney does put a lot of things on sale.
Do they? Interesting.
So maybe that'll happen.
There was a couple things this year that I don't know why, but they sold out of them. And then one of my sources got them. I had, I'm not even going to remember their names, but I had the long-faced guy from Mando who was a diplomatic guy. Why can't I remember his name? But he was a Shop Disney exclusive. And then there was a Guardians of the Galaxy 5-pack. And I'm like, I don't know why these aren't on there, but I'll take it because they don't have them and they're going for more money on eBay, so I can sell them at retail and be a hero. Perfect.
Nice. So I think this is still in stock on Shop Disney if anybody's interested in picking it up. Other than that, there were some Hot Toys. There is some Hot Toys news for this week. There was this brand new announced figure that we're going to show just yesterday, and did go up for pre-order yesterday as well. This is the Hot Toys Star Wars Return of the Jedi Han Solo in his Endor trench coat. And, you know, this was a really surprising one and a really exciting one because, you know, there hasn't been a Han Solo from Hot Toys in like 7 or 8 years. So there's a lot of rumors about why. Harrison Ford was on one of the late shows around the time you know, when the sequels were coming out, and you know, I think the I don't remember what show it was, but the host showed him the figure, and he picked it up and just started smashing it. So some people were saying it was because he destroyed it and disrespected Hot Toys, that, you know, they didn't want to make any figures of him. But you know, no, here's one. And they did have the Indiana Jones that went up last year. So no, this is cool. Matt, do you collect any Hot Toys?
I do not do it actively. I have one that was a gift, and I love him, but I'm very selective with it. Like, I know there is a new Vader coming out, I think this spring. That's going to be, if I can get my hands on it, that's going to be a must for me. But not too many. I mean, when we get into Hot Toys, now we're talking serious space issues.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't give them their own shelf, so just can't do it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. It's a rabbit hole. I it always starts with one. I mean, props to you for being able to keep it at
Hard.
one, but like for me it started with one and then it just like escalated, pretty quickly. So I had to buy some of those DTOF shells from IKEA that they're not making anymore, unfortunately. But uh, I don't have a Han Solo. Like I have all the other like main characters that they've done for the original trilogy, but I don't have Han Solo. So I'm really excited about this one. I pre-ordered him. But yeah, it's definitely easy to go down that rabbit hole and get sucked up into these. A lot of people have criticisms about the way this figure looks. Like me personally, I'm pretty pleased with it, but there's some people saying like his hair looks a little poofy.
I mean, it's because they're used to looking at him now. I mean, this was Harrison Ford in 1983, so it's a long time ago.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, he looks like the hair looks like it did in the film. Like, I mean, I'm thinking of like when he was an Endor and he's like, oh yeah, it's me. Or, just kind of like his shenanigans around the Endor bunker. Like this kind of what he looked like. I mean, his hair, to me, it looked like that. It doesn't look far off. So I'm pretty good with it.
It looks a little too perfect. Like maybe take a little strand here and that's it. But as you can probably tell, I'm not an expert on hair. So I don't know. I think it looks good.
Yeah, no, I think it looks really cool. And, of course you can take his coat off and then you just have, him without the coat, his more normal Return of the Jedi look. Which have you ever noticed that he's wearing basically the same exact outfit from Empire, but now he has the vest instead of the jacket? I hope he took a bath somewhere in there because he was in Carbonite for a long time.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure, wasn't Lando wearing his outfit too at some point in Jedi? It's like,
It
hey, where did
was,
you get
yeah,
that?
and at the end of Empire, it was very similar, but he had like a collared shirt, like buttoned up, and he looked really like Lando, like very smooth. Han's a little less kept, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see a few people in the comments saying that the hair is definitely off for them. But I mean, a lot of the time they revise these things, like what we're seeing is a prototype. There's a good chance they'll go back and make a few changes and tweaks. So the one gripe I do have with this figure is, and it's a really minor one, but it's the display base. Because this is kind of a different base than they've done before. Like I have like the Endor Luke and Endor Leia, and they came with like an actual base that looks like, it just looks like, I guess, like grass and dirt and mud and stuff. With some pieces that you can attach to them that have like little ferns and leaves and stuff. But this one is weird because it's kind of like a metal thing with grass on top of it. So, it's kind of a weird thing for them to have done. That's really the only thing I can like have a gripe with.
Yeah, it looks like they were just out of ideas for bases. What are you guys going to do? I don't know. It's going to metal thing with some grass. He was on Endor.
Yeah, it's like, is it like a secret like entrance into the bunker that was just off screen that they could have used instead of going through all that trouble? Like, I don't know.
Probably what they told their boss when it went up for review. Nah, this was totally there.
Annette says that Leia kissed him after she freed him from the carbonite without a breath mint. Yeah. And he was taste blind too. Yeah, maybe. Or he had COVID. Who knows? We just don't know. I mean, maybe he picked something up at Jabba's palace. I mean, we just don't know. I don't want to think about that though. But yeah, no, this is a really cool release. I mean, I'm excited for this. It was just kind of out of left field because they were focusing on the Return of the Jedi 25th anniversary last year, and they didn't do a lot for it. They did like the C-3PO, they did the Darth Vader that's coming with the removable helmet, but they didn't do anything really beyond that. So it's nice that Han Solo is finally being released. So I'm stoked. And I'm sure they'll continue to perfect it a little bit better over time.
Yeah. Looks, I definitely see the poofy hair complaint, but I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely not too bad. So if you want to pre-order that, it is up. It is up on a Sideshow's website. In addition to that, there was some other Hot Toys news. While these weren't newly announced figures, they were figures that we now have some photos for. These are the blogger photos where, they send samples out to different photographers, and they create like their own like photos, and then they send them back to Hot Toys, and then they post the photos on social media and to get people excited. And this was one of them. This is Commander Fox from the Clone Wars, and I didn't order this one, but it is nice. I mean, it's cool that they're keeping up with the Clone Wars. I just, for me, like, he's part of the shock trooper like type clones, but I don't like how his red doesn't match. That really bothers me.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I can totally see that with the red, though.
It's annoying, but I kind of want, that's probably more like a Lucasfilm thing, right? Because I mean, they're just going off of the source material.
Yeah.
So can't really fault them there. But if I had them together, it would just really like bother me that the reds are so different.
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, it's a nice looking figure. Definitely will be fun if you love the clones. Then I mean, who doesn't love clones, honestly? But in this scale, it's kind of hard to amass too many of them. So
yeah, not unless you're really willing to put some money into it.
yeah, absolutely. So aside from Commander Fox, they did show blogger photos of Padme. And this one I'm not too sure about. Like this was a really exciting one as well. Like it's like, oh yeah, they're finally doing Padme, in 1/6 scale, and everybody's excited. And the prototype looked decent, but I don't know. I'm not so sure. I mean, I did pre-order her like way back when they announced her. It's probably been like a year and a half by now, but
that one looks better. That first one, something looks off there. I can't even put my finger on it.
Yeah, it looks really off. Like, and it's weird because these blogger photos are supposed to like show how amazing the figures are, and sometimes they do the opposite. Because I know I've seen terrible blogger photos from Hot Toys, but then when I get the figure, it's like, oh no, this looks so much better in person. So I don't know how they go about like selecting what certain photos, because like, yeah, some of them don't look great, but this one looks good.
Yeah, that one looks fine, but we're further away from the face.
We're farther away from the face. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's got different looks. And there is a video on YouTube from Sideshow where they do their first look of this figure, and she actually looks really good in that video. So I'm sure part of it's lighting. Like there, she looks pretty good. But yeah, I mean, probably not perfect, but not the worst either, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. I mean, it looks like it's off-brand Natalie Portman. Maybe they just got Keira Knightley and her confused and mashed them together.
Could be. I mean, it looks like Natalie Portman, but more like how she looks today, I guess, than she looked like 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's actually a really good comp. That makes sense.
Yeah, so what were they looking at? Some people were saying they thought that they used probably the Thor sort of look, because they just released, or they're I don't know if it's out yet, but they were doing the Mighty Thor figure. And some people were suspecting that they just kind of stole that face and put it here. So maybe that would lend some credence to that possibility.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. Oh, look, there she looks awesome because you can't see her face.
Yeah, that's the key.
And that's the way to display her. Yeah, gosh, I don't know. I mean, like some photos she looks good and some she looks off. So, but it, like I said, it's happened before. There have been photos like the Rise of Skywalker Rey. Like people hated the way that looked, but then when you get it in person, it's actually quite nice. So I don't know if it's going to be that situation or not, but we'll see.
We shall see.
There's also, I want to kind of just mention this one because this is, I love Batman as well. It's probably like after Star Wars, like I would say like Jurassic and Batman. So, I do collect the Batman figures too. And this is kind of like they released, Catwoman back ages ago, and this is kind of like an updated version that they're coming out with, but it's kind of the same thing. Like some people are saying, in some photos she looks good, but in others, like her face looks a little too angular. It looks a little too shrink wrapped, I guess, for lack of a better word. I know that's something we
I'm
use when we're
not
talking
seeing
about
that with this one.
dinosaurs.
I think this one's pretty accurate from what I'm looking at. So
Yeah,
surprised.
it looks good, but I mean, I guess I kind of see what some people are saying. Like she looks a little more kind of like the other one looks a little more mature than maybe she was during when they made that movie. But the figure itself looks awesome, though, I would say.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be a great display piece, especially if you have the others. Um, yeah, I mean, I think she looks cool. And this one's been on pre-order for like 2 years. Like I don't even remember when they pre-ordered. It's been like at least 2 years. I think she was on pre-order before you were on my show last time. So
That's insane.
yeah, it is nuts. Like with hot, like you think with Hasbro, like you got a pre-order, it's going to come in like in 4 months. I mean, Hot Toys takes years, so.
Well, yeah, they're trying to do the Mezco thing.
I still have PTSD from that Keaton Batman. Oh my god.
Well, I'm still not even convinced Mezco's a real company because I can't ever get anybody on a phone or anything. They keep pushing toys out, but I don't know that anybody works there.
I met them at Comic-Con, so they're on some level they're real.
Well, now they don't go to any shows
Oh man.
because, like, I'm booking my appointments for Toy Fair, and then Mezco, I'm like, where the hell are they at? They didn't go. I was in New York. I'm like, maybe I'll go down to their warehouse on Long Island and see if it exists, and just bang on a door. Please open an account for me.
Yeah, that Batman, like man, like I remember when that went up for pre-order because I was at work and I was like, I know it's gonna go up for pre-order. I gotta make sure I get it because it's gonna sell out. I don't remember if it did or not, but I think that was like in 2019 or 20. It might have been like really early 2020, like before the pandemic, and then I think it came out like a year ago.
It
And I
did. I
remember
know
getting
that.
it.
Yeah. The
Yeah, and like,
Fantastic Four set just came out. That's been on pre-order for 3 years.
oh man.
My favorite thing about them is that they don't actually update the dates for anybody or us. They just every month when it's over, they move the date to the next month. Rather than giving us a realistic, accurate idea. Like right now, if you look at my distributor accounts, I have like 20 different new Mezco due in February, and
Oh
then it will
wow.
be in March. Now we will get one released. The other 19 get pushed.
Wow. Um, when I saw them at Comic-Con, I asked him about the Batman because you probably know like the cape, putting the cape on and the head on sucks. Like it's just horrible. And after we waited 3 years to get the darn thing, it's like, why is it such a struggle to get it to look decent? So I asked him about it there. I said, hey, the Batman figure, looks great, but this cape is like impossible to put on, and the head. And the guy kind of just looked at me. He's like, oh, well, the guys that would know more about that are out to lunch, so you'll have to come back. And I didn't bother going back, but it was just like, come on, come
I
on.
picked him up last summer. And I think the key is like it's definitely not perfect. It was a lot of money though for what you spent and then what you got. And I think they really struggled with that material. Like I can't remember them ever doing anything that like in a rubber suit like that before. So
Mhm.
I don't know if that might have been it, but there was something off with the neck in general. Like I think it was too
Yeah.
long for the body. But I mean, I still love it. I mean, Mezco's got a special spot in my heart, so that it's hard for them to do wrong on me. But still, it was. I know what you mean.
Yeah, like the collar was too small. Or I don't know, something with the neck was just off. But no one has yet made like the perfect like 6-inch scale Michael Keaton Batman. Like because there's that one, there's the figure arts, which was okay, but the face doesn't look too great. There was the NECA one from several years back, which is okay. It's not the most posable, but it looks good. And then there's the one that comes with the new gold label Batmobile, and that one's okay for McFarlane.
You
Um,
know, the one who I think might get the. I guess it doesn't count. Neither is McFarlane because they're 7-inch, but Beast Kingdom's 8-inch. That looks fantastic, but it's 8 inches, so it fits in with nothing.
I hate that. It's like even the 7-inch kills me because, I did buy like when DC Direct was doing like the Batman stuff. Like I did buy a lot of the Arkham figures, and I love those. But like it's like, why do they have to be 7-inch? Like what's wrong with just making everything 6-inch? Like it'll fit in so much better. They'll take up less room. Kills me.
If I want to mix a Mafex with a McFarlane, the Mafex looks tiny.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's so weird. But yeah, somebody's got to make the perfect, figure in this scale. I don't know who it's going to be. Obviously, nobody can get it quite yet, so we'll see. Yeah, I guess that's it for Hot Toys. Other than that, I do want to highlight something really quick. So this is from banthaskull.com. So, always love talking about the cool things that other content creators in the community are doing. And this is a cool one. So they have this new feature on their website called Figures That Make Me Happy. And there's been 2 so far. And the first one was an R1 G4, which was a Saga figure that came out, I think like in 2003, I want to say. So there's one for that one. And then they also did one last week. There he is right there. R1 G4. And then they did one last week talking about a figure that we actually mentioned the latest episode of the Vintage Collection podcast. And that's Wyosleo, which is this crazy little alien it's a kind of a miracle it even exists as a figure, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's a cool feature. I like because there always are those figures that may not be the flashiest, may not be the most recent, but it's kind of something of a small miracle that they exist. And there's a lot of personal meaning behind them because you found them at the right time. All the stories that we have that we associate with a lot of this stuff. So cool feature. I really dig it, and I'm looking forward to more articles featuring this topic.
It's a cool idea. Definitely is. I know there was someone who was doing a figure of the day. They're at like 5 years in. I think it was maybe Galactic Hunter. I was reading that every day for a while. And then I was like, and I'm falling off. We're at a year. I got nothing left.
Right. Yeah, that was Galactic Hunter. They were doing figure of the day for a long time. And then I think it became like, it was every day. And then it was like just during weekdays. And then it was like 3 days a week. So yeah.
Got tired. It happens. Running out of figures.
Yeah. And like just the time to do all this stuff. It's like, people have lives, believe it or not.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I do want to make a run through the comments before we continue because there's been a lot of conversation and, we're never ignoring it. Just, we're talking and sometimes things get missed for a little bit. Britt says she's still waiting for her ideal version of TMNT action figures. Yeah, I mean, Matt, what would that be for you? Because I'm trying to think what that would look like for me, and I'm kind of feeling like that would be basically the Playmate scale, right, for me, but it would be like updated sculpts, modern articulation. Like for me, that's what an ideal TMNT would be.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably right. I would also say NECA got it pretty much perfect for me. Like, I guess the only complaint could be that there was some minor QA issues. The paint apps weren't always super consistent, but for bang for your buck wise, like they're the perfect version to me of the cartoons. I can't imagine them getting done better. I am really curious to see how the Mezcos look when they come out. If they someday. Now, those are going to be much different than any turtles we've ever gotten before. So I'm really curious to see how that all goes.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting for sure. Secret Kingdom saying HasLab incoming. Maybe. We will see.
I wonder what that could be next.
Who knows? And I guess it depends. What HasLab? What are you talking about? Is it Star Wars? Is it Ghostbusters? Like, what is it?
I think we're due for a Star Wars. What was the last Star Wars HasLab now?
The Ghost.
Oh, wait, that wasn't that long ago. See how fast? See, I told you I have no memory left. Nothing.
Let's see here. Susan says, hey, Susan, excited for more droids to bring on the collection where needed. Absolutely. They're a huge part of the world building of Star Wars. So if you like those figures, definitely pick them up. Holonet, collectors stopped buying DTOFs. Why are they taking them off the market? I don't think collectors stopped buying them. I think IKEA is just unusual. They didn't provide any reason why they're going to stop making them. A lot of people were buying them, at least I can't speak for the general public, but collectors were buying them. Especially like 6 scale collectors were buying them. So they seem to sell pretty well. Like in the past, when I needed one, they were either sold out or they were back ordered. But yeah, they announced, I guess, last summer that they were going to stop selling them this January, and they were true to their word. They stopped selling them. They replaced it with a different, I forget the name, but with a
I'm
different
looking at it now.
design.
It's the Ladine, maybe I said that right.
That could be it, yeah. But I saw somebody do a review, because this is how hardcore collectors are. They'll buy like the shelves just to review the shelves, and they did a review of the DTOF compared with this new shelf, and it's like, yeah, it's got like a thick frame, so you can't really see the figures from all angles. And
so I will go the complete opposite. I was playing with one of these a few hours ago. My friend had one of the new ones, and I think it's an improvement because with those thick frames, you're able to be much more creative with your lighting. You can run strip lights down them and completely hide them, and you're not going to have any of that weird glare. So one of my biggest complaints about DTOFs in the past has been really hard to wire lighting and make it look natural. And if you don't spend the amount of time, the crazy amount of time it takes to dust proof it, they're just dusty soon anyway. So I think that this is actually an improvement, and they're cheaper than the ETOF is now. So I think it's an improvement. The bars are definitely something to get used to, but I still think it's better. It's a little smaller though.
That's a hot take, but we'll accept it.
No, I know. Like when you go to like things that grind my gears, I can't stand seeing LED individual dots. I put some up here not long ago, and my wife's like, "What are you doing?" Because I bought like 4 different types of diffusers to make sure that you couldn't see the dots, because I don't like the dot look. And I specifically bought, like, I love Billy bookcases. I think it's a great price for what you get, but I paid up for the next level just because I could hide lighting in it better.
That's interesting. Yeah, but you're right though. I mean, I did all the lighting on mine. I have 3 of them over here, and I have 1 extra in the garage, but I haven't, I don't have any room for it. I just wanted to make sure I got at least 1 extra. But I did all the lighting on them, and it was a pain. Like, it was just so time consuming, and it was a lot of trial and error. But once I got like the first one, I'm like, okay, I like how this turned out. Then I went and did the other 2, and those 2 weren't as bad. But yeah, they weren't easy to set lights up in, but yeah. And the other weird thing is IKEA did make this light kit called the dioder, and that's what I was using in the other 3, but then they discontinued that like a couple of years ago, so I wasn't able to buy like anymore. So
I wish they would come out with something that was like, if you're going to do that, you need something wireless and also remote control. So I've tried it. I've tried a lot of different things. I've tried remote control ones, but then I forget to turn the lights off and they die. Yeah, it's the plight of the collector, I guess. It's a tough world.
The plight of the collector. It's definitely a tough world. Susan says, happy that Han is coming. Partially Bespin Han, but I'll take any we can get. That would be cool too. I mean, I hope they do a Bespin Han. Really hoping Bash Leia comes too. That would be awesome. They need to do another Leia. It's been years now. I guess Endor Leia was the last one. It's been a couple of years. Fatmatic says that Commander Fox is more burgundy than red. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Britt agrees that, says Padme's her favorite character, but says the face does seem off. That one with the Force, she looks like Victoria Beckham. Maybe. Hot Toys Anakin from Empire has his best head sculpt. I'm trying to understand this one. Hot Toys Anakin from Empire.
I think they're talking about Vader, maybe, without the helmet.
It's just the back of his head, though.
Yeah.
There's 2 Vaders coming out this year. There's the Obi-Wan Kenobi one with the split helmet, and then there's the Return of the Jedi one.
What are they doing to me? I didn't even realize they had, I forgot. I did know that about the Kenobi one, but the Jedi one's the one I'm all over. I need that.
Yeah. The only one I have is the Empire one, and I like it, but it doesn't, you only see the back of the head, and it kind of comes off easily, the dome. Like, if you hit it wrong, like, I've already dropped it a couple of times, like, ugh, every time it happens. Mary says, as long as I can post Catwoman on the Bat Pod, I will be happy. Yeah, that will be cool. I do have the Bat Pod, but I can't imagine, I don't have any room to put it. I just wanted to make sure I got it for one day. It's always that one day, down the road, I'll have this museum. My husband's like, what, a museum? Like, yeah, I gotta have like one day goals. Trevor says yes to more background aliens and droids. Jason, good to see you, Jason. Alive, hot, eat, sleep, toys, repeat. Absolutely. And then Britt, NECA came close, but mine always break. I do also prefer a 6-inch. I guess her TMNT. Right on. And I think we're pretty caught up. If I missed you, I apologize. If you want to, copy and paste, we'll definitely look at it. So Matt, did you see the new Ghostbusters trailer?
I did not. I saw the previous Ghostbusters trailer, but I did not see the new one. It was news to me, just like Carl Weathers when I came on and you said, "Hey, we're going to talk about this." I'm like, "Oh, there's a new trailer."
Yeah, so there's a brand new trailer, and I don't know if you avoid trailers, so I don't want to get too much in. Okay. Yeah, no, this, the last trailer that came out, like I was kind of lukewarm towards the movie because Ghostbusters is one of the things I did love as a kid. I hardcore was into the real Ghostbusters, had a bunch of the ghosts, had the main characters, the Ecto one, all that stuff. But I thought Afterlife was decent, but Frozen Empire, like they showed us this trailer a couple months back, and I was like lukewarm towards it. But then I see this one, and I'm like, now I'm like genuinely like hyped for it. Like, I'm super hyped for it.
I'm looking forward to it. I did like the last one. I was never a huge Ghostbusters guy growing up. I think it was a little bit before my time. Like by the time I got there, we were like right on Turtles. But I do enjoy it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I like Paul Rudd, so it works out.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm excited for it. Trailer looks really cool. If you get a chance, Matt, like, check it out. Definitely has me excited just based on what I've seen, just like what the little bits I'm seeing of the performances and like some of the things they're bringing back from the original movie that weren't in Afterlife. Like that stuff has me really excited. Those characters and those specific things. So
I'm curious to see what they're going to do for toys, because the only thing I've seen is the lower end stuff that they kind of didn't even announce and it just showed up.
Right. And then like the retro fright features that they didn't announce either, and we're just like showing up too.
Yeah.
Like to me, those are the most exciting things out of anything they're gonna do. Like I already know it doesn't matter how awesome the other stuff is. But yeah, like there's nothing been announced for Plasma series. Like, is that gonna continue or is it dead? Like I know it didn't do too well.
Yeah, it
Last
did
time.
pretty poorly from what I see, but I also think they made a ton of it. So I don't really
Right.
know what to think.
And that was tough too, because, Mattel had been making those already. Like, it's not like they didn't exist. And, a lot of people already had those. And if you see, I think the Plasma series are definitely better than the Mattel ones. But for a lot of people, they probably looked at them and they were like, oh, they're close enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much stuff they could do. I'd love to see like the the real Ghostbusters like in Plasma series. That'd be incredible.
That would be cool.
So I hope they continue it. I hope that they bring more stuff out, but I'm getting a little concerned because I haven't seen anything quite yet.
I think we're going to see a pretty big pullback in quantity overall, especially with just the way movies have been. So I think we're going to see a lot less product for one-off movies now, even ones that are like coming from huge franchises.
Yeah, that would make sense, especially with how things are going with like, Hasbro and a lot of these other companies. Like, there for the last, I would say, I guess it must have started like 20 after 2013. It seems like there was this huge like boom in like the toy industry with people coming in, all these products being made, like stuff that were like the thoughts and dreams that everybody had as a kid, but now as adults they were actually a reality. And it seems like they're starting to pull back a little bit. Like that isn't, now that they've done so much of that stuff and people have it, like there's not really, they can't really go up so much anymore. So things are starting to come down. It's kind of been my perception. I don't know if you feel similarly.
Yes and no. It really changed with COVID. A lot of companies viewed the spending habits during the pandemic as the new normal, and they upped all of their production rates because of it. They changed their business strategies. Rather than just thinking it was going to be a blip on the radar, they wanted to take as much advantage of it as possible. And it's hard for me to understand that thought process because God, yeah, I mean, it never was going to be more than the timely thing. But with the way Time Media goes, there's a good comment about it is, yeah, like Time Media launches are completely over at this point. And in general, there's a little bit of collector fatigue as far as quantity goes. So it seems like there's not, like, I know that this year is going to be very interesting for Hasbro because there's not much coming out because of the writer's strike. They don't have very much stuff to put their hats on. So I think that it's going to be a pretty lean year, and then we'll see a pickup next year.
Yeah, I think that was pretty evident with like the the stuff they showed from Hasbro last week. It was a lot of, I mean, I don't want to say it was a lot of stuff because it wasn't, but it was a lot of, I don't even know how to word it. I mean, it was just like, it was enough product, but it wasn't anything new or exciting or fresh. So it felt like it was like nothing really. Cause I mean, Axe Woves, okay. He has the same, he doesn't, they said, oh yeah, season 3, but he's got the season 2 armor. And like, I mean, 2 Mandos and, just a lot of stuff. And, you're right. There were those strikes and things got delayed.
Lots of refreshes too. Like the
Yeah.
timing of stuff. It's like, okay, we know we got this in the Black Series 5 months ago. That means it's due for the Vintage collection. It's just so predictable. I think that gets to people. I know everyone's got Mandalorian figure fatigue, big time, and I have it too. I'm like, no more Mandalorians, please,
Yeah.
something new. But it's hard. Like, well, okay, what are you going to do? I know
Yeah, I
that
mean,
all of us can point to a lot of minor characters for them to do,
mhm,
but unfortunately, those don't make a ton of money. So
right.
puts them in a weird spot.
It does. I mean, like Cobb Vanth, that was a huge one. That's probably the biggest thing they
Yeah.
announced. But, we are all this time removed from when he was in the Mandalorian. So it's kind of like, it's exciting, but it's like, it's not as exciting as it would have been, you know, even a year ago, because now we
I
still
still
got to
don't even
wait,
know if he's alive. Like, do we even know if Cobb Vanth is alive, or are we still living on this? Like, I'm still upset about that.
Yeah. Well, he's in the back to tank, so we know that at least.
Thank
Um,
goodness. Don't kill Raylan on me.
but yeah, it's I mean there were these strikes, and I think Skeleton Crew got pushed back as well. So I mean, there's things that are out of Hasbro's hands, but then I think also like, okay, well, is there anything else they can refresh? Anything else they can marginally retool and bring back that would maybe be a little more exciting? And there's all these Mando figures, which, okay, I think some characters like the Mandalorian himself, are pretty evergreen, or they should be, people will buy those. But, some of them like Axe Wolves, like, really? I mean,
Well,
could there not have
one
been
of
like an original trilogy, couple characters or prequel characters they could have, done this with instead, just to kind of mix it up a little bit, keep it a little more fresh?
Yeah, I mean, like I was actually the wave that was revealed before it. I was a little bit more. I'm like, wow, we got an Andor figure, a prequel figure, a sequel figure. This is some variety. Uh, I don't know that I like Cobb Vanth. They've been holding that off because it's like a bullet in the chamber. It's like we know when we need a popularity injection, that's when this guy's going to come out. Yeah, there's just it's Mandalorian fatigue. I know that in the Black Series, they're really focused on. It's actually in most of the lines of all the 6-inch lines, keeping certain characters evergreen and on the shelves at all time. That's what that Minds of, is it that one? Yeah, the Minds of Mandalore version that came out. That's what that was. The New Hope Darth Vader that's coming out. Same idea. They're not in any assortments. They're just there to be on the shelves. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't really know. I feel like they're kind of rudderless in the vintage collection, because the thing that, at least to me, really makes that special is the play sets and the vehicles. But they're so much harder to do nowadays that they seem to be very hesitant to do it. So that kind of leaves them in a, oh goodness, what do we do state.
Right. Yeah. Hey Ken, how's it going? Welcome. So Ken says, we're also seeing a larger amount of product move from big box to fan channel using comic book direct market playbook, which killed comics and mass mainstream distribution.
Little different. Like comics had one distributor and they sucked. I mean, great. The big difference here is this is better. Big box is absolutely killing toys for collectors, at least, because they don't care. Toys R Us is done. All we gotta do is put stuff on the shelves, and we're the only place people can go. Good deal.
Right. And the margins on a lot of it probably aren't, that great. They want to get you in there to buy paper towels and, Ziploc bags and, things that they can make money on. Like, toys are just so like extra.
How many times when we're on a toy run, if we're going to 4 Targets, are we spending money on anything but maybe a bottle of water? So we're not bringing value to their stores. They have no reason to want to. We see how quickly they're clearancing things out. They're not happy either, and they're turning product back from places like Hasbro. So they have not been good for the toy market. They've definitely hurt it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've heard talk too, like like the ones you were mentioning earlier. There's like the Count Dooku and like the Finn and like those that, like, I mean, rumors that retail, I guess, passed on those, or certain retailers wanted to pass on them because they were remembering how poorly like the sequel and prequel figures were doing.
It is an Amazon wave now that I'm looking at it. So that makes sense. But I mean, they don't know what they're doing. So like the retail stores, like they pass on things that they are their own exclusives. They're like, that's how it ends up at Pulse, at Big Bad, at Nerdzoic. Because the retailers say, we don't need that many of it. And then we all watch pre-orders get canceled and we never see it in the store. Mm-hmm. They just don't understand the toy business.
Yeah. It's all interesting. I mean, there's like so many variables and so many weird things, but yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that, if the only way to get some of this stuff out is by utilizing the fan channel, I'm all for that. Like, if that's the only way we're going to get Dooku or, some of these characters, then by all means, utilize it, please.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The fan channel, from everything that they have revealed, they being Hasbro, that's like their most consistent growth right now, whereas everything else is going down. I think a large part of it is, people don't. I used to love going on toy runs. Like, I loved it. It was my meditation time. But if you go to 7 places and find nothing, it kind of stinks. And as we all get a little bit older, time is money. So all that time hunting, like, oh wow, I would have much rather paid like $30 shipping at this point, because it's so much money to do it.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see going forward, like, more they're going to do with fan channel this year. Like, will there be more fan channel waves, like specific, or is this the only one this year? Like, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Two. I think they've announced it, but there's 2 for vintage. And the upcoming Black Series Anakin and Padme wave, quote unquote wave, 2-figure wave. I'm pretty sure that one's fan channel too.
Hadn't heard about that one.
Well, so is the. Well, that's all. They're obviously up now, or else I wouldn't say it. I get in trouble again. But so they're up for sale. I don't think that most people realize that that's the entire wave. It's a case of 4 Padme and 4 Anakin.
Huh.
That's the assortment. The wave before that was, from what I understand, Famazon 2. So Balin, Shin-Hati, R5, all of those, and they're starting to dry up too. I just finished up the last of my Balin and Shins, so I'm hoping I can get more. But like, they're cutting their product, they're cutting their prints majorly.
Interesting.
I hope it continues that way, because I'd rather them print just enough than where we're at now, which everyone's like, I'll just wait for Ollie's, which it sounds great. But if that continues, we don't have toys, because you can't make toys at a loss.
Do we know if this Anakin and Padme is like the same one that they already like released from Attack of the Clones?
No, this is it's Padme from episode 1 and Anakin from episode 1.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was totally thinking like adult Anakin.
Yeah, you're thinking grown-ups. No, this is the kiddie one.
Yeah, Phantom Menace. That's right. Okay, yeah.
But like I was saying, I don't think people realize that that's the whole wave. It's just the 2 figures.
That's crazy.
They're jumping around a lot. Like, I'm looking at my plan, and they skipped, I can't say too much, but I can say that, like, the Grand Admiral Thrawn that was just revealed, and everyone's like, man, we're not getting that till next January. Well, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 more waves that they skipped over, which means that it's probably got some media stuff in there that they're not allowed to reveal yet. Like last year, they did this too. They're like, hey, look at this. We have this great Mandalorian, and here's a Ahsoka Padawan, and then it's going to be on pre-order for a year. And then like, oh, look, here we go. It's our Ahsoka toys. They're on pre-order. They'll be in stock next week too. And that's a Disney thing.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's all pretty interesting watching everyone have to kind of jump through hoops to make it all work. And the movie, all of the stuff going on with the strikes, that's going to hurt them too with that too. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that really threw a lot of chaos into the mix, not just like, with Hasbro Star Wars, but I mean, all these different like things that got shuffled around from various companies.
I think Marvel, or Disney in general, is struggling, but Marvel is like, every egg is in the Deadpool 3 basket. And as much as I love Deadpool, it's rated R. Rated R movies don't usually become record setters. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. That's a whole other can of worms, Marvel.
They're in a bit of a mess. It's one of those things where everyone's got their own theory. Marvel, the MCU started its downward streak for me was with WandaVision's last 2 episodes. Like once I felt like we went from really understanding how to present this to, we're going to make people think something cool's going to happen, but then it's not going to happen. And we're going to be like, aha, we got you. And that was like, that was the WandaVision for me.
Yeah. And then Multiverse of Madness, just like, ugh.
It was just weird. It was a lot of like, look, we finally got Jim from The Office as the Fantastic Four guy. Here you go, everybody. And look, Professor X has his yellow wheelchair. Look what we did. And we're all just like, but there's no story. Like, what? So they haven't really put anything out great since No Way Home. And No Way Home was an example of like, I don't know that anyone could objectively say it's a great movie. We all loved it because it's got like the point coin a South Park term. There's member berries. Oh, look, it's Andrew Garfield. Remember him? I remember him. And we all just completely marked out for it, me included.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm going to highlight a comment here. Tommy, how is it going? Tommy says he's my biggest fan. Will you please find Arctic Batman for me to review for my birthday? It's tomorrow, February 3rd. Give me a shout out. Yeah, so Tommy's been asking me to review this figure for ages. Like it's the old Kenner Batman Returns Arctic Batman.
Remember that.
Tommy, I know I've told you this before. I don't have that figure. I'd like to review it. I definitely want to review. I mean, I don't really review anymore, but I'd like to at least go back because I did review some of the old Kenner Batman stuff. I would like to kind of do a few more of those, and that one is on my list. So if you see one on eBay that's like a really good deal, send me the link because I want to check it out.
What's a good deal?
Yeah, good deal. And yeah, Tommy, happy birthday. Hope you have a great birthday tomorrow.
Thank
you for letting us know about that. And we're glad that you're here. 22, the last episode of Echo was terrible, but the rest are fairly good. I haven't seen that yet. I have not
seen it. I'm not looking forward to it because Marvel, my number one guy has always been Daredevil. And from everything I hear, it sounds like they do him a little dirty, and there's not. I'm like, no, we're not Daredevil, man. Don't kill him on me.
Yeah, but this comment also reminds me of Secret Invasion.
Yeah, Secret Invasion was that was such like I don't know if you've read the comic or anything, but it was done so well, so good, and the show was not. Like they just left that source material and they're like, hold our beer, we're gonna do it better, and then they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I was on board until that last episode, and I was like, oh man, I just don't know. But it's good to know people like it. Britt agrees. Echo is her favorite. Okay, nice. I'll definitely check it out. It's just, like I'm not in a hurry. It's like that stuff. I mean, I know Disney, what was it, like a year, like last year, they went and did like a mass like sweep of stuff that was on the platform and they pulled it. So I guess that could happen. If it happens, and I guess I'm SOL, but I'm not really like in a hurry to see it either. I'm like too busy watching classic films from the 1940s to bother with it right now. All right. Well, let's move on to our next segment here. So new acquisitions is something we touch on every week. This is where we talk about things that have been added to our collection since the last live stream, which for me was last Friday. And last Friday, I had basically nothing to show because I hadn't received anything. This week, same story. I don't have anything really to show because I haven't gotten anything, which my husband's really happy about, by the way. Nothing's come in. Some people say, oh, what did you do with your hair? He's like, oh, what did you do with our budget? Like, because nothing has come in. He's like, he's happy about that. Matt, do you have anything?
I haven't opened anything, but I did get for the store, we got the blue Hush Batmans, which from Mafex, which is the one with it's probably like the GOAT of all Batman 6-inch figures. And I'm still waiting to get through our entire stock to see if there's one with a damaged box, because that one's mine. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Which one is it?
It is the Mafex Hush Batman. They did a blue version and a black version. The blue one's got the Bruce Wayne alternate head. So that is, yeah, I'm all over that. Can't wait.
Right.
It's Mafex rerun time of year. So like all sorts of random Mafex stuff is hitting the market. I'm literally waking up in the middle of the night to talk to people in Japan, like, hey man, did you get me the stuff? Can you get it? It's an interesting time.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous
really
figure.
Cool. I may need to pick one up.
Get him while he lasts.
Yeah, but do I go blue or do I go black?
I recommend blue because it's got the unmasked head.
Interesting. So does the black one have like anything different? Any other?
Not that I know of. I know that the blue one is much more sought after.
Okay. Well, if I do end up getting it, I know where to get it now. So
Got you covered for a while. I don't know. Like last year, I thought I bought enough of the reruns to last me through the year, and it lasted me through February.
mm,
So we'll see. Like this year, my goal has been for the store buy enough stuff that I'm not reordering it every freaking week. We'll
mm,
see how long that lasts, though.
right on. Jason says that he does have the Black Mayfax Hush
Nice.
sitting in his pile loot.
It
Nice.
is a good one.
Peak Obi-Wan says, I've been collecting a bunch of crazy stuff. A little classic vintage, a little retro, and a little TVC. Nice. Yeah, times like this where it's like really slow, I use these opportunities to kind of go back and like look for things that I wanted in the past and just never got around to getting. Especially when it's like more vintage type things, like old like Kenner Batman, or just old Kenner, or yeah, Jurassic, like just little things that I missed. I'll try and go back and pick those up. But I guess the only thing that I really have this week, so Matt, I've been showing every week. I got really into the droids from Droid Depot at Disneyland last year,
Okay.
because I built one last time I went, and then I kind of got hooked. So I have like a connection now, a bounty hunter, so to speak, that goes to Galaxy's Edge, and he'll get whatever you want. He'll build you a droid, he'll buy you scrap parts or just whatever it is. So I talked about last week how they have like a part section where you can just go and buy parts for certain droids, and you can build your own droid for a fraction of the price it would normally cost. The only difference is you don't get the remote control, which is okay because you can control them with your phone. But they it costs $100 to build a droid with the remote and all that, from if you go in there and do the whole experience, and it's worth it to do it at least once. But for $15 a part, you can build your own droid, and that would be the head, the body, the two side legs, and then the middle leg. They all cost $15. So for $60, you can build yourself $100 droid without the remote, which isn't bad. So my connection, my bounty hunter, was deployed to the planet of Batu to get me some of these scrap parts.
Nice.
And he sent them my way. And of course, I don't have the remote because, I don't have the remote, but I can control them with my phone. But I got this little guy in.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah. So this is it's a C series like Chopper. Basically, it's Chopper. It's just, blue. And these parts also come in like a light, like ivory sort of color. So you can kind of mix and match if you want. But yeah, $60 for the parts, not bad. I haven't used him yet, but he did come with batteries, which is kind of cool. But yeah, he's a cutie.
Yeah, I like him. It's a
I
big
did.
fella.
Yeah, he's big, but next to like the R series, he's actually pretty small. So, but yeah, I like his little arms and that. It's like really fun. I know I need to activate you, but haven't had time. All right. So I'm going to put him aside. And that's really all I have to show. I don't have any, unfortunately, I don't have any better show and tell than this. But if you guys have any suggestions for a name, it is a C series, so it's got to be like C1 something. Let me know what you think. And I'll definitely consider it for a name. Oh, I already see a couple names in here. Tommy's got a question. What is your favorite figure? Bike, robo, or eagle, robo machine, robo toy? I don't know what those are. I'm so sorry, Tommy. I don't know what those are. Yeah. Mary says she got Hot Toys record this week. Awesome. Yeah, those are really nice. I'm not getting any of the Hot Toys Bad Batch, but they do look really cool. And again, Tommy, like this is another one I can't answer because I don't do Transformers. I don't really know anything about them.
Same.
Like I saw the first like 3 movies in the theater, and then after that I was just like over it. Like I never watched them again.
I enjoyed them, but they didn't age well.
Yeah, I can imagine not. Like I don't know that I'd ever go back and watch them again, but they probably, yeah. Tim is used to seeing the droids in 3 3/4 inch. Cool. Very cool. Mobile Recluse, good to see you. Been a while since I've seen you in the cantina, but glad that you are here. Mafex Daredevil.
Oh, can't wait for that. He's not till next summer, but he's awesome looking.
Sweet. So let's go into our final segment, which is Q&A. If anybody has any questions they'd like to throw at us here before we wrap things up, we will answer your questions. Trevor asking, if you could wish a TVC creature into existence, what would you choose? Matt, you go first.
Man, there's so many things I like to see them go back and do that they haven't done in TVC, but they did them before. And I feel like they've done some that I probably forget. I'd actually like to see some prequel stuff, like episode 2 style stuff, like an Acklay. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. That would be great. I'd love to see that. There's a lot they can go back and redo. That hasn't been. They could do new Wampa. They could do a new Rancor. They could do a lot of things. Like most of all, though, for me, probably not a popular opinion, but I'd like to see a new Sarlacc because they have focused so much on Return of the Jedi and the sail barge and the skiff and Jabba's palace, but where's the Sarlacc? Like that's a big part of those scenes too, right? So we need a new
That's
Sarlacc.
only been made once, hasn't it?
It has. That was in the Legacy collection, I believe, and it was pretty tiny, and I don't have it. So
I don't have that. I don't even remember that. Seeing that now it's going to be one of those things I have to go buy on eBay.
It's super expensive. I would have already bought it. It's like last time I looked, it was like $200 or something. Like no.
Wow, I see a buy it now for $585.
Oh crap!
Wow, it's so funny stuff like this. One of my bread and butter things for collecting is I love anything that's like in a window box of a scene. So stuff like this, love it.
Yeah, that was a fun set. It was good for its time, but we need an all-new Sarlacc. All-new Sarlacc that can actually eat the figures, and then I don't know where they go after that, to be honest.
They suffer in its belly for 300 years.
Yeah. Yeah, you never see them again. That's where they're going to be long beyond our time on this planet. Marvel or DC? I got to go DC because, like I said earlier, like Batman is one of my top personal fandoms. I love Batman. And it's not even so much DC, I guess. It's mostly Batman, but Batman is DC, so I kind of got to say DC. Not that I don't love Marvel. Like Spider-Man's my second favorite superhero, but overall, I guess I would go DC.
It's a tough one. So I actually think as a unit, Marvel, but I like Batman and Superman better than anybody at Marvel. I just think that the DC's anything below the big 10 or so is just kind of meh. I'm like, oh, look at that. It's the Marvel or the DC version of this person.
Yeah, that's true. There is a lot of that.
Even though most of the time the DC one came first.
Right. Yeah, true. Michael Per asking, what is your favorite porridge? What the heck is porridge? Like, I mean, I've heard of it, but have I ever eaten porridge? I don't think so. I mean, I've had oatmeal, I've had cream of wheat, but I don't think I've had porridge unless I did and I just didn't know it was porridge. I've had grits. I mean,
I feel like is porridge a thing? Let's see.
Yeah, what is porridge? Let's Google it.
Yeah. Boiling ground, crushed, or chopped starchy plants. So that sounds terrible.
It does sound terrible. Oh my goodness.
Like this is something that you give people as a punishment.
I know, like broccoli or
It's like it's oatmeal but worse.
I like oatmeal, and I like cream of wheat, but porridge, I don't know. It's not sounding very promising.
Yeah, those things have to be like the right circumstances. Like, give me a lot of sugar on it, and I can do it. But
that's how my mom makes her oatmeal.
Yeah, I'm like, nah. I'm not eating that for breakfast. Give me a brownie or something else unhealthy.
I remember one year for Valentine's Day, my mom made us brownies for breakfast before school, and it was just like, oh, why'd you do that? Like, even us as kids are like, brownies, Mom? Really? Like, she's like, yeah, it's Valentine's Day. Why not? I'm like, okay.
Oh,
Okay. All right.
oh, made an impact. You still remember?
Yeah, I still remember it. I'm just calling you 22, my friend, because I don't know. I can't read the first character. I wish that I could. I really do. If Hasbro ever gave us a chance to choose between Ula or Slave Leia, which would you guys pick? What do you think, Matt?
If it's vintage, I'd probably say Ula, because I don't know that we've had more than one, if we've even gotten the one. Black Series, the only one we got was terrible, so I'd have to go with Leia. Like, she's got like cross-eyed eyes. It looks like I painted the face app. It's rough.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, for TVC, I would say Ula as well, because I think that would be an awesome card back. And I also think that, we did get the one in 2010, which is a nice figure, but they could do it so much better now. But I mean, yeah, I could use a Hut Slayer Leia as well in TVC, like a brand new one, but probably not going to happen anytime soon.
Probably
either.
not.
Michael says, I want a real rocket pack. How about you? Why not? I mean, it's cool when you see Mando using it or Boba Fett, but I can't help but think, like, if it were me, I know I would burn my legs, like, right away.
Yeah, I remember watching The Racketeer, and that did not go well for him.
That is true. And he puts it on the first time. He's like, up.
Yeah, like put it on the dummy, and the dummy had its legs burned off.
Yeah.
I don't really want to try that.
Yeah, just even if the flames don't hit your legs, like imagine the heat, like of the air temperature, it's gonna just like boil you. So
yeah, that's a pass.
Yeah. No thanks, no thanks. Maybe in a VR version. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Here's a name for the droid. C11IRP Chirp E, I guess. I like that. I think Jason had mentioned Blooper as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't see any questions. I think we're good on the questions, unless anybody has any last things they want to ask. But yeah, no on the porridge. Definitely not. What's wrong with you?
Not doing no porridge. Grits.
Yeah. All right. So I don't see any other questions. Matt, is there anything else you wanted to add, or anything else you wanted to highlight or mention?
No, just thanks for having me.
Right on. Well, no, thank you for being here. It's a blast. Like I said, I love the channel and everything you're doing with it, and it's a lot of fun. The quality of the videos is great, and it's just fun having you on Cantina Social Hour. So thanks a ton for coming on and
my pleasure. Anytime.
I'm just gonna read this one real quick. Grits ain't groceries, eggs ain't poultry, Mona Lisa's. Okay, all right, if you say so, Trevor. What are you up to over there?
That is a song. I had to Google it, by Little Milton.
Oh my God, I never heard that.
Me either.
Thank you, Britt. We appreciate you tuning in as always. All right. Well, you guys, there's a link down in the description to follow Matt online. This video will publish shortly after. So if you have missed anything, you want to go back and rewatch this, you want to torture yourself a little bit more, we will publish it so you can go back and do that. But no, thanks to everybody who's tuned in. Thanks for your comments, your questions. And everything else. Thanks for bearing with us and for hanging out. We'll be back next week with Toys Are the Way. We'll be on Social Hour, be our next guest for the first time. But yeah, thank you. Be well, be safe, no matter where you're tuning in from out in the galaxy. Thank you for tuning into Cantina Social Hour. And Matt, thanks again for coming on. And hope to do this again soon or sometime.
Absolutely.
Hopefully not in 2 years, though. That's too long.
It'll feel like 2 months, but yeah. I feel you.
All right, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you next time. Bye.